may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Alright guys, I asked y'all what y'all wanted me to make a video about, and y'all said you wanted to see a video with our biggest regrets and also the things that we got right in 2020. And I'm going to be doing both, but let me start it off with our biggest regrets, our biggest misses, because I know this is where people want to point at me, people want to laugh. And guys, please go down to the comment section and let me know what your biggest miss was in 2020. Let's talk about it. If anybody's coming out here and saying that they got everything right, they are a clown. They don't know what they're talking about, because football is played through a game of probabilities where you're never going to get everything right. You just have to be right more than you are wrong. So yeah, I know y'all were wrong as well. Let me know in the comment section what you were wrong about. And yeah, while you're down there, drop that like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be live streaming on Friday and Saturday night at 9 p.m. Central, as well as Sunday morning. I hope to see y'all there. Okay, so let's get into it now, and let's start it off with our biggest whiff in 2020, Juju Smith-Schuster. Okay, so y'all know with Juju, I was so heavily invested. I mean, in all of our high-stakes Dynasty Fantasy Football Leagues, I was aggressively pursuing Juju Smith-Schuster in startup drafts and also through trades, where I actually have Juju in almost half of the leagues I play in. I know that does not sound like a lot for y'all, but whenever I am in so many leagues, and they're all either 12, 14, or 16 team leagues, if you have any given player that costs more than just say a first round rookie pick at that high of a rate, I mean, that is a significant investment. With Juju Smith-Schuster, I thought given his age-adjusted production that we had in his rookie and sophomore year seasons, we were just looking at Juju being an elite player historically. I thought that he was going to bounce back from 2019, where we were really writing off that 2019 season due to the fact that Juju was dealing with injuries. And also, clearly, we did not have Ben Roethlisberger for the entire season. I thought that everybody saying that Diontae Johnson was going to be the wide receiver one there had no idea what they were talking about, as I had convinced myself that there was no way we were ever going to see it be anybody else other than Juju Smith-Schuster. And while y'all know I loved Chase Claypool in Dynasty Fantasy Football for his long-term outlook, I really liked him coming into the NFL, but I thought he was a little bit more raw, where I did not expect him to produce right away. I actually thought that James Washington was going to play ahead of him, and we were going to have Juju being the clear alpha wide receiver one, Diontae Johnson and James Washington splitting the wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 roles as Chase Claypool developed in the back end, and then Chase Claypool was going to be a force in 2021. Well, fast forward to where we are now, and clearly I was horribly wrong. Juju Smith-Schuster is currently the wide receiver 23 in points per game, with both Diontae Johnson and Chase Claypool coming on extremely strong, where at this point I am willing to just take the L, and I'm willing to say that Diontae Johnson is the #1 wide receiver on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was making fun of so many people this offseason for saying so. Diontae Johnson is actually older than Juju Smith-Schuster, as crazy as that sounds. But still here, based on the targets that they are seeing per game, I just think that we have to take the L. And with Juju, I thought that he was going to be that elite asset. Clearly he was not. I think we have to label him as a bust at this point, because you drafted him as a high-end wide receiver 2. He's a low-end wide receiver 2, which I know is not necessarily a massive loss, but I expected him to be a high-end wide receiver 1. Okay, so now our next our next whiff was Michael Thomas. So y'all know with Michael Thomas, yes, this was a wide receiver that I was heavily avoiding coming into 2020. I thought that he was overpriced in consideration to the other 3-down running backs. I wanted a running back like Dalvin Cook ahead of him. The last thing I wanted to do was come away with Michael Thomas in the first round if I was going to have to spend a top 5 pick on him. But after about 4 weeks, whenever he was slated to come back right before the bye week for the New Orleans Saints, I was advising y'all to go out there and buy Michael Thomas on the low as his price had dipped, just because we were so annoyed with the high ankle sprain. I thought that Michael Thomas was a great value at that point, and clearly that did not work out at all. I mean, with Michael Thomas, I will say I'm a little bit more excited about him going forward based on the fact over the past 2 weeks, he has had incredible market share numbers where he is dominating the targets going to the wide receivers in New Orleans. But the problem here is he is just nothing close to what he was in 2019. Anybody who drafted him coming into 2020 should be even more embarrassed because at least we were wrong in that we thought that he was going to be a decent at a discount, not at that retail price. But still, even that discount price was too high. Michael Thomas right now I actually have as ranked as a low-end wide receiver 1 in our rest of season rankings. I think that he is going to be intriguing, but nowhere close to that elite option. So I think that my call of trying to buy Michael Thomas on the low as he was coming back from his injury was entirely wrong. And that's going to lead us right into our next regret. I mean, with Joe Mixon, oh my gosh, guys. Okay, so if y'all don't know, if you have not been following the channel for a while, about 3 weeks ago, whenever Joe Mixon, right before he went on the short-term IR, I was desperately trying to get people to buy Joe Mixon as I was looking at Joe Mixon as a 3-down running back coming back into an above average offense with Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. I thought that Joe Mixon was going to be able to easily make it back from his injury. I thought this offense was going to maintain as one of the most prolific offenses in the entire NFL. Clearly, neither one of those things has happened. And I'll say with Joe Mixon, even if he does come back in 2020, which I doubt he will now with the injury to Joe Burrow, really there's no incentive for them to ever activate Joe Mixon from the short-term IR. This team has really no reason to be trying to win football games. And we know that Joe Mixon is locked up for that long-term contract. So if I was the front office there, I would be saying there's no way we're bringing Joe Mixon back in 2020. But even if he is, knowing that this offense does not have Joe Burrow, the overall ceiling on Joe Mixon is going to be lowered. The floor is going to be lowered as well, just because there are going to be less trips to the red zone. There are going to be less first downs for this offense. So Joe Mixon, I think that was probably our worst call so far in 2020. Me wanting to go out there and buy him on the low a few weeks ago. Okay, so now our next regret, someone that just face planted on Monday night with everybody watching him, Miles Sanders. I mean, right now, Miles Sanders is the RB19 on the season in points per game, but really that does not necessarily make it sound near as bad as it is. Because with Sanders, he's currently playing on one of the worst offenses in the entire NFL. And if y'all have not been following the channel for a while, I loved Miles Sanders as a draft day target. Now, I will say, I think that the process that we had with Michael Thomas and with Joe Mixon were a little faulty. Here, I still want to stand by my take on Miles Sanders, where we looked at him as a 3-down workhorse running back that had that elite athletic profile that could catch passes out of the backfield. And if y'all don't remember, the narrative around this Philadelphia Eagles team coming into 2020 was this offense was supposed to be one of the better offenses in the entire NFL, with Carson Wentz providing average to above average quarterback play, with the offensive line, at least over the past 3 seasons, being one of the best offensive lines in football. But here's where we went wrong. We all know that during training camp, the Philadelphia Eagles had some major injuries to their offensive line, and I moved Miles Sanders down a little bit, but I did not move him down enough. I was too excited about the player. I was not paying enough attention to the situation around him. So that is why we completely whiffed on Miles Sanders. One of my biggest regrets. I have a significant investment into him, just like I do with Juju Smith-Schuster. All right, so now our last regret, someone that I consistently marked as a buy low running back at the very beginning of the season, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Okay, so with CEH, we all know he has been extremely volatile week to week, where some weeks he'll go out there, he'll rush for 150 rushing yards, come away with a touchdown, and look like your savior. But other weeks, he'll go out there and come away with 3 fantasy points. Really, there's no in-between for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Right now, currently the running back 18 in points per game, and I don't see how it gets better anytime soon with Le'Veon Bell and Darrell Williams both getting some usage in this offense. I think we have to look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We have to just understand that, yes, I really liked the talent coming out of LSU. I loved the situation as the featured down running back in Kansas City. But the problem is, once they signed Le'Veon Bell, we all know that Clyde Edwards-Helaire needed to fall down our rankings drastically, which is what I said. But here, another regret that I have. I don't know if we could have done anything differently here, though, just because how are we supposed to kind of expect the New York Jets to go out there and cut Le'Veon Bell just for the Kansas City Chiefs to sign him? So I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is our 5th regret on the 2020 fantasy football season. This one, I don't know if y'all can blame us. I think this one's just a little bit more unlucky. I'll say our biggest whiff in terms of the process behind it, though, is actually going to be Miles Sanders, where really we did not react enough whenever we had those injuries to the offensive line in Philadelphia. So yeah, that one's on me. Very, very sorry about that. But guys, I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps us out. And I'll be live streaming on Friday and Saturday night at 9 p.m. Central. I really hope to see y'all there.